now obviously we are closing in on a very decisive
Elections.
presidential election.
It is a decisive election.
It is. So how important is this election to the UNP, because it is one of the oldest political parties in the country?
I am not looking at the party per se.
Right.
I've gone beyond our ideological principles or beliefs.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the country at large.
Right.
And I believe that for this simple reason, that the Honorable President Ranil Wickremesinghe has put his ideological beliefs or thoughts or the party that he worked for so long aside and came as a common candidate, because he wanted to bring everybody together for a common cause, an important cause, at a very crucial juncture as today. So this is important for everyone, not just the UMP. And for me, I believe that every citizen has to think right, think carefully, look at the members who are in this list, the 38. There are only 3 front runners to begin with. Out of these 3 front runners, who is the person that can serve us to come out of the mess that we have been? We've just come out of this ditch that we were in, and we are just panting. We are not even breathing properly, you know. So in order for us to come out of the ditch and to be able to, lift our heads and say, okay, now we need to go the next stretch. It's Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe who has done it for us. So for me, it is absolutely important that this election is very crucial. This election should go beyond party politics, and people should think right and vote for the man that they believe that could put this country right.
Just after the Aragale and all that, and then Mr. Wickremesinghe, he said he will take over the reins, and but it is said that just with 113 votes, he just he just became the president, and that he doesn't have a good backing to begin with when compared to the other 2 candidates, the main candidates. What do you have to say about that?
During the Aragale, or during the time that we went through such hardships, maybe if I may reiterate and remind people of where we were in 2022, April, May, June, starting from January onwards, we were going through such hardships. There was shortage of electricity, 13 hours, 15 hours power cuts, no fuel, no gas. There was going to be a food shortage. There was no fertilizer in the country. We were in dire straits. We have to remember where we were. People were dying in queues. There was no medicine. The hospitals were not functioning. There was no fuel and electricity to function, even the hospitals. All the small businesses crashed, even a little tree, because I was the mayor of Colombo. And as the mayor of Colombo, a vast majority of the underserved community live by, they have daily wages. They live with their daily wages, or they have little small businesses, which it could be like, making food packets, food parcels, or driving a 3-wheeler and finding their daily provision. That came to a standstill. People were hungry. People were like, and there was no one at that point to come out and say, listen, I will step in. Let's all step up. Let's all come to the table. As a nation, leave your party ideologies and party politics aside. Why don't we all come together and try and see how we could sort this out? Because it is our nation, our people. If you're a leader, Kamanthi, I believe that if I'm a leader of a women's group, or if I'm a leader of, even a netball team or a sports team, as a leader, I want to make sure that my team does well. So if you're a leader of a political party, or if you want to take the leadership of a country, leave alone a political party, then you need to look at your subjects who are basically dying in queues and who has absolutely nothing. What do I do at this moment? How do I step up? That's what you call a leader, people who can step up and take on the challenge and to do his or her best. For me, that's what leadership is all about. And if leaders were like, weighing the pros and the cons, talking to the central bank governor or the secretary of the treasury and, looking at the picture and thinking that, oh, this is not something that we should be touching, or we cannot save the country is going down the chute, anyone who wants to take it and do it, good luck to them. And if they want to step back and then give excuses saying that, no, we don't want to work with this one, we don't want to work with that one, we don't want to work with the Rajapaksas, those are no excuses. When your people are dying, when your people are hungry, when your people are in dire straits. You know, that time I was the mayor of Colombo, so I had a greater responsibility towards my people. And there were ships with oil, there were ships with gas tanks in the middle of the sea. There wasn't a cent in the treasury, in the coffer, to, breathe to shore. At a time like that, just this one man in parliament who took on the challenge and said, I'll do it. When everybody else was stepping back and finding excuses as to why they should not be there. And also, people tweeting saying that, sorry, we cannot, do anything. The country is gone. It's beyond restoration and, all these nonsensical things. He took on the reins. He took the challenge, not having a single member to support him. And then he reached out. He reached out first to the opposition. He asked Honorable Sajid Premadasa to support him. He asked the TNA to support him. He asked the JVP to support him. He asked the entire opposition, including then the government, to support him. And of course, the people who felt that, he could do something, voted him in. Even at that point, I was a little disappointed with my brothers who were in this JB. They were my brothers. I was from the UMP. They were from the UMP. I always considered the SJB as part of the UMP. That they didn't have the backbone to put their leader for the presidential race that day. Instead, they borrowed somebody from the Pohot tour. And everybody from the Pohot tour who goes to SJB is clean as Snow White. Anybody who joins Ranil Wickremesinghe is a rogue. So this hypocrisy is one thing. And also the fact that, yes, he did. He found his own team. He got a new team. A young team to support him. And this young team, I strongly believe, have delivered beyond our expectations. And if anybody says otherwise, just check your, I'm asking them to, tap into your hearts and see, why are you saying that it's not true? Today we can breathe, today we can have a presidential election. Thanks to Ranil Wickremesinghe. We could have been another Bangladesh. We could have been another Lebanon. We could have been like what's happening to the Maldives. We could have been in Argentina. We could have been a Greece. If not for this one man. So I believe that this race, this presidential election is very crucial. And in this election, as a UMP, you asked the question about the party UMP. For us, we are very proud that it is our leader that is running as a common candidate, and it is our duty. And I strongly believe even everyone who is supporting the SJB should reconsider and think that this is the man, half the SJB, was brought into politics by Ranil Wickremesinghe, nurtured, cultivated and made who they are is Ranil Wickremesinghe. They all should think twice and make sure that Ranil Wickremesinghe wins this race.
So why couldn't, because you have been with the party for so long, why couldn't you, for instance, or people who have been in politics as the same generation as you, why couldn't you contribute to bridging this gap between the SJB?
Oh, I have tried. I've tried many a times. A lot of people in politics today, Kamanthi, I decided when I lost the last elections in 2015 that I was never going to run for national politics. And that's when the president asked me if I would run for mayor. And in 150 years, I was the first woman mayor that was elected. And I took on the responsibility. But now I really think that I still have a lot to contribute, because when I see what is happening, a lot of people come into politics to be in power. Now, all those people that day, including Harsha, who tweeted saying that we cannot, take this is really gone beyond repair, etc., etc. I strongly believe a lot of them in my party, who's now in SJB, or even the other parties like the Mali Mahava, they are only concentrating. See, in these last 2 years, when Ranil Wickremesinghe was doing everything possible to bring the economy right, to have dialogues with the IMF. IMF took a long while. The IMF talks, negotiations went on for about 7-8 months before the first installment came into the country. So how did he allow us to survive? Because in 2022, July, August, the country didn't have money to pay the government servants' salaries. I don't know whether the government servants are aware of it. That's how bad things were. But because of his, the respect that people have, because of his integrity, his honesty, his capability, his connections with the international community, and also because of his vision and his intellect, I would say that a lot of the international leaders supported him during that interim time. India, I am very grateful to Sheikh Hasina. Bangladesh supported us. Today, look where Bangladesh is. I wish we could help them, I am very, very grateful. So what I'm saying is it is his connections and the fact that they have the trust in him that if he promises, he'll deliver. And he's already paid those loans back with interest, So my question is, you're asking me why. A lot of people want to win the next election. They're not interested in their subjects, the people, or the country. They target the elections. In these last 2 years, while Ranil Wickremesinghe was doing his very best, he was not targeting elections. He had to take some very drastic decisions, which would be very unpopular, and there was no way that anybody was going to vote for him with increase of taxes and, that kind of basically policies that he had to bring. But he took those strong decisions, even though it was going to go against the grain and not allow him to win the elections. But whilst he was doing that, all the others were, grooming themselves for 2 years to run for this race. But fortunately, I have to tell you now, when Honorable President Ranil Wickremesinghe started the campaign, he was way down because he started very late. He actually started his campaign last month on the 17th. Today, he has surpassed some of those parties that are aspiring to win the race, and he's really very steadily rising. And I believe that I strongly believe that he will win, because everybody's intentions who are in politics, not everybody, a lot of people are very sincere, are genuine, are how do we win elections? Now, say for an example, everybody who goes to parliament, when people elect them, they elect them to serve them.
Yes.
But instead of serving them, in that entire 5 years, they are working on how to win the next election. The best example is, including the Malimawa, they have been in politics for more than 20 years. Now, Harini Amarasuriya keeps talking about women and, women's empowerment. Not a single, I have brought a public member motion asking for the increment of female representation in the local councils. I have brought many public motions or private member motions into parliament, and some have been, failed. Some have been, basically thought of. They've never brought a motion or a proposal to parliament. They sit out here and talk and talk and talk. But there's nothing with regards to women that in the entire 20 years have the JVP or the Malimawa spoken of women in parliament. They're only there basically to attack any good thing that the government is doing. Of course, I'm very much for constructive criticism when the government is doing wrong. Yes, I am sometimes against some of these things as well. But everybody's ambition, aspirations, and target is how do I win the next election. If I take on this responsibility now, in 2 years I'll be so unpopular and I'll be the next president. So let me, step back. So when I try to, bridge the gap, no, this, that, and the other. So I have, in this very same house, people have come to ask me to join the SJB. And I very clearly said, no, this time you need to support Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe. He has never in his entire life, he's been Prime Minister maybe 3 times before. In the entire 3 times, every time he was Prime Minister, his reign was shut down in a year or 2 years. The best example, Kamanthi, is in 2002, we came into power. He came into power. And he came into power because the country was in dire straits. It was a minus growth rate. There was nothing in the coffers. We had zero money. We were basically, with the war, we were actually in dire straits with the war, because the LTT was just coming and throwing bombs in the middle of the city, and there was nothing that we could do. They attacked the oil tanks. They attacked the airport. There were no ships coming. People were not coming in. Investors are not coming. We were actually, at a time like that, Chandrika Bandanaka Kumaratunga's government, the entire senior cabinet members crossed over And then they had to go for elections, and they fought elections with Ranil Wickremesinghe. And he became the prime minister. Of course, a prime minister under an executive presidency, we say that it's like a, a peon's job, right? But even as prime minister then, what did he do? The growth rate went up to 5.7%. He improved the financial status in the country. He paid off all the war debts. We couldn't pay the war debts. We were actually so bankrupt, and forces could not actually go forward because financially we were bankrupt. We didn't have the equipment. So he got the warship from the US, and that warship was greatly instrumental in us winning the war, because that was a US agreement or a grant or a gift that we got. Then he also sent our senior most soldiers for training. He also broke the LTT into 2 and 3. Karuna Aman was the army commander of the LTT. Ranil Wickremesinghe, he was so shrewd, so smart. He knew this is the only way we could, overcome this. Pillayan, Karuna Aman, and this is one of the reasons to why Prabhakaran, in one of his heroes' speeches, said that Ranil Wickremesinghe is a cunning fox, and this is why we needed to defeat him in the 2005 elections. Little realizing that, the man that they elected was the one who was going to basically... In that short span of time, 2 years, 2002 to 2004, what Ranil Wickremesinghe did for this country is something that people should appreciate. But they sent him home. And then they brought Mahinda Rajapaksa into power. I am very grateful to Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa for winning the war. But in order for him to win the war, I would say it was Ranil Wickremesinghe that ran the race. I always say it's like a relay. And in this relay, everybody played a role, from General Janaka Perra, including Her Excellency Chandrika Bandanaka Kumaratunga. They all played their part. And in this relay, the man who ran the fastest and gave the baton to Mahinda Rajapaksa was Ranil Wickremesinghe, and we should never forget that. And so the war debts were paid, the country's economy was doing okay. It was very easy in 2005 for Mahinda Rajapaksa to come. And I've not said that it's very easy, but it's the decisions he took. So I give him the credit for that. Also, Kamanthi, I have to tell you this. In 2004, to defeat Ranil Wickremesinghe, who supported Chandrika Bandanaka Kumaratunga? It's the JVP. And if anybody thinks that, I have heard people saying, this is like a very hateful things, that rhetoric that goes around saying that let's teach them a lesson. Let's teach both parties a lesson, and let's give the JVP. If you're teaching a lesson, teach the JVP also a lesson. It's a JVP very clearly in 2004 defeated Ranil Wickremesinghe, brought Chandrika Bandanaka Kumaratunga into power back again, and also they held portfolios. Andhra Kumara Disanayake was the agriculture minister, and he held many key portfolios under Chandrika Kumaratunga. But he didn't deliver a single thing. And also in 2005, to bring Mahinda Rajapaksa into power, they played a key role. Mahinda Chintane was named by Andhra Kumara. And they are the ones, go back, look at history, go back. They are the ones who went from stage to stage. I have heard Vijita Herat saying that Mahinda didn't have to, at the end, he didn't have money to print his posters. We are the ones who printed, and Basilas still repaid us back. So they printed posters from the money that they collected from the public, because they are collecting from the public, according to them, because they have never done a job in their lives. They've lived off people all their lives. And today they are coming and telling people, we want to make you a rich country. I don't know whether they know how to make themselves rich to begin with before they could make, you need to be able to. This is, our people in this country work very hard for what they have. We have worked very hard. Atula and I have worked very hard. I haven't really worked, actually Atula has worked very hard for what we have, Our parents have given whatever they had. So what I'm saying is, people work very hard. These people have never worked in their lives. All they've done is, play politics and go to the people. And they live off the people, whether their clothes, their daily provisions, their bills, electricity bills, the light bills, their vehicles. Everything is from the public. So these people brought Mahinda Rajapaksa into power. And then now they're saying that these are rogues. Then they worked for Sarath Fonseca in 2010. Then they brought Honorable Maithripala Sirisena into power as well. When they brought Maithripala Sirisena into power, that time Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe said, okay, main theme on every platform is to eradicate corruption. So he brought the FCID. He brought the Anti-Corruption Commission. He created an Anti-Corruption Commission and asked Andhra Kumara to head the Anti-Corruption Commission. And also told them to name their nominee, whilst the government and other parties named like senior police officers to senior legal persons, because that's the kind of person that you need for it. These people named somebody called Anand Vijaypal. I'm sorry if the name is not Anand Vijaypal, who didn't have a legal background nor a military or a police background. And they brought these same 400 files to this commission. And some were taken to, basically task and whatever. Some were basically, I think, there have been cases where a lot of people have been, I think they went to the judiciary and whatever. I don't know exactly what happened. But the same 400 files are still lurking around. So they were given the power at that time. They didn't want anything else to do the anti-corruption, whatever. But they could. So, in order to basically, if you think that somebody has cheated you or cheated the nation or robbed you, you have to have proper proof.
Yes.
And you need to be able to go through the proper legal system. If there are loopholes in the system that you can't really, take them to task, then there is an issue. And that is the reason to why Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe, as the president of this country, brought in the most strong, stringent anti-corruption bill. I would ask everyone, before you vote for anybody in this election, go back, because you can, with the, the new act that we have to get information, the Right to Information Act. Even if you just basically go Google the anti-corruption bill, you can find it and see. This anti-corruption bill was brought in with the help of the IMF, because one of the conditions of the IMF is to eradicate corruption. Yes. They are not going to support a country that is corrupt to come out. So Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe's primary objective is, as much as taking this country forward into a very global economy, because we live in a borderless global village and the whole world has evolved into a knowledge economy. When there is AI and all these high-tech technology is the key. His ambition is also to make sure that our human resource, that we invest in our human resource more than anything else. And for that reason, he's brought in this anti-corruption bill with the help of the IMF. And apparently, according to the IMF and the World Bank, this bill is one of the best in South Asia. So there won't be any provision for anyone to go through or, basically go through the loopholes. And escape. And what is the Malima were talking about? Horuwallanda. In Parliament, they should have at least brought a private member motion with the anti-corruption bill. They've never done that. They only speak outside just to gain public support, and they're misleading the youth at this point of time. So even with their economic policies, I was listening to Sunil Handunhetty the other day saying that there are only 3 options in Sinhala. He was saying, for us, we either, in order to increase the government's income, we either print money to solve this problem, or we take the people's deposits, in Sinhala said Janathaga Tempatu, or we sell state assets that are been already earmarked to go into public-private partnership, not to sell. So they are willing to sell like telecom. These things have already come out and people are talking about it. So what I'm saying is, when the government wants to do something good, these people have always been out in the streets protesting, and Lal Kanta very clearly says, we are the ones who have protested every step of the way. We are the ones who have brought the government servants out into the streets, the university students. So it's chaotic to even think that if people are really foolish enough to vote for them, and if these people, I don't think they will ever come into power, because I strongly believe from the trend, and I've been also following the NIB report and some of the polls that have been done, the recent ones, this last week and this week, Ranil Wickremesinghe is riding high. So I'm very hopeful that he will actually win this election.
Right. So now that you spoke about his manifesto, yes, there are a lot of, it looks really good, but for instance, the government employees, there are a lot of issues when it comes to giving their salaries, etc. And so many issues in the administration, in several areas like railways to local government bodies, etc. So, does he have a solid plan to address all these?
I am sure he does, and I think he has also very clearly spoken about what he did in the 2 years and how he's going to, advance into the next couple of years. He does. First of all, the main issue that he's addressed was the salary increment.
Yes.
It has almost, for some people, it's 55% of their salary, because that was a long-awaited issue with the government servants. They get such puny salaries, and that's one of the reasons why they tend to steal or do misconduct in government offices. When people say the thieves or the people who are corrupt are the politicians, no, it is I mean, I've seen it because I'm the mayor of Colombo. I've seen it from the top to the bottom, how you can't get a plan passed unless so I have basically every step of the way. In fact, one of the steps that I took was I went to Korea, spoke with the then mayor, and got a grant from KOICA.
Yeah.
It was an 8 million grant at the moment to automate a tax system. So that, because my own husband has experienced where people, not realizing he was the mayor's husband, where people have walked up to him, a person, a tax collector, because we are tax collectors, walked up to him and said, sir, to make Ghana, this is how much you have to pay. I can undervalue this, you give me this. And he didn't realize that he was talking to the mayor's husband. And then my husband looked at him, and in my husband's office, his father was a former IGP. He had my father-in-law's photograph, large as life, in his police uniform. Looking at that this man is not. So he had said, no, I'll pay the full thing. If you want, I'll just support you as, give you a gift for coming and, helping me out to do this. But I'll pay. And then he came and he never told me who the tax collector was. And that's when I realized how the Colombo municipality doesn't even collect 60% of its actual dues. So then I went and I wanted to automate the tax system. And that took 2 years for for it to go through the line ministries, whatever. And it went out of the window. It never came to light. I went crying to my leader, Ranil Wickremesinghe. He was in the opposition. He was not even in parliament at the time. When he spoke to the Korean ambassador, I spoke to the Korean ambassador, Santosh, the former Korean ambassador, and he said, Rosy, wait. Next year we are opening up again. You apply. I immediately applied again. I got a 9 million grant this time. And still we are having hiccups where it's a grant. For heaven's sake, they are giving the money. They actually sent 3 teams. One team was 12 members. They sat here for 4 months at their expense, studied my entire system to see how they could, basically give us the best system so that there is no corruption and to automate the system. Like that, they came 3 times, and the second time also they did the same thing. They approved it, and recently the head of KOICA is calling me and telling me, Mrs. Senanayake, there are so many hiccups, these people are fussy, because the government officials don't want this automated. That's the issue. So Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe was very supportive the last time. He made sure that I got the second grant as well. I got the grant. It's there now. I just can't talk to you because a week ago I got from the head of KOICA about this issue. And the president is on his campaign trail. So I'm waiting for the elections to be over. We might lose this also if we don't speed up and act on it. So this is the reality. So I strongly believe that he has a mechanism in making the government departments and functions and the services very effective and efficient. So he's actually also mentioned some of it in his whatever. But the most important thing for me is what he's done for women. In these last 2 years, Kamanthi, whilst basically talking with the IMF, getting aid, giving us the gas, the electricity, the fuel, started with a QR code, and then it ironed out, and now everything seems to be hunky-dory. So people don't even see the need of, Mr. Wickremesinghe should be here for another 2 years or 3 years. They think, no, let's bring a change. And who is the change? The same old cadre that has brought in people into power and messed up this country and taken this country back. They're talking about anti-corruption and corruption and, Horu Allana, their slogan. They've got the opportunity to Horuvalande. I mean, I have watched a video clip of Somavan Samarasinghe, the former JVP leader, talking about Anurakumara Dissanayake and this anti-corruption committee and how he operated it. He calls him, in his own words, Pal Horek. He calls Anurakumara Dissanayake Pal Horek, that he didn't do what he could have done or what he had to do. He's lying and he's deceiving people. This is Somavan Samarasinghe saying it. If you Google, you will find it. I'm asking you if I can find it, I'll send it to you. So this is the reality. And I can understand why people are blindly thinking that Anurakumara can save this country. I don't know whether they remember what we went through. So whilst Ranil Wickremesinghe, the Honorable President, was doing all this, he also thought of the underserved community. He brought the Aswasuma. Through the Aswasuma through Samurdhi, there were 14 lakhs of families that were benefiting. And it was increased to 24. And Samurdhi was only 5,000, increased the amount to, he found the money for this. The Aswasuma, he worked with the World Bank. World Bank gave him the first year to give the underserved community. So he didn't ignore the underserved community because he knew he had to impose taxes because of the IMF and whatever. And he knew that is going to be a heavy burden on the underserved community. So he worked on the Aswasuma. He also, like, you know, it was my concept. It was my brainchild to give pregnant mothers 2,000 rupees and 20,000 rupees for 10 months, a relief package. It's called the Poshana Malla, where dry ration for them for the month. And this stopped in 2020.
Right.
And it was not being given to the pregnant mother. As soon as the Honorable President came into power, he found the money to give the pregnant mothers, not just 2,000 what I gave, he's giving them 4,500 a month, 45,000 for 10 months, you know, for every pregnant mother. He's giving school children a midday meal, knowing that there's malnutrition, there's stunting, there's wasting among children. He's giving the preschool children, there was a policy where 30 rupees were given to the parents to make their meal. So that has been increased to 60 rupees. Preschool teachers were given an allowance of 2,500. He increased that to 5. You know, amidst all what was happening, he was looking at those communities as well. He was looking at the retired community. He's given an allowance of 12,500 to the retired community as an added bonus. Similarly, I think he's, I mean, this is what I'm like remembering and telling you what he's done. He's done so much. Also for the female-headed households and women, the war widows and the female-headed households. He's with JICA. He's also brought in a project where they will be basically trained for entrepreneurship, leadership, and also the mechanism to get into self-employment businesses or whatever. He's also giving the female-headed households a ₦1 million loan at a very low interest rate, 3%. to start their own businesses or to do whatever that they want to do to improve themselves. So the Women's Empowerment Act that he brought into Parliament alone is a clear winner for us women. Because this Empowerment Pact, the Women's Empowerment Act, would enable a National Commission of Women to be brought into place with legal provision. So the National Commission of Women with legal provision to look into every issue of women, whether it's violence against women, whether it's discrimination against women, whether it's there is differences with regards to salaries and that kind of discrimination and deficits, in every possible way to basically improve the women's status and also to empower women, the Women's Empowerment Act. Also, he brought in the framework for the Gender Equality Bill, and that has been still talked about and been worked on. That's another one. So similarly, he's brought so many bills. At the same time, also he has very seriously looked at violence against women and children, and he has strengthened every police station. There are about 607 or 4 police stations, and every police station, most police stations has a women's desk. It's like just for namesake, the women's desks are there. So he's got trained personnel. He's empowering those women's desks to take on the responsibility of women and children. He's empowering a separate committee through the Child Protection Authority to take on the responsibility of protecting children. He's also bringing a new Child Protection Act. I think I'll give you the entire list. You should publish this of what he's going to do, what he did in the 2 years and what he's going to do. He's empowered small businesses. He's empowered, small women's communities that are registered with the women's ministry.
Yes.
He's got, I don't know whether it's a loan or a grant. He's got 200 million from the ADB bank to support the women in agriculture, and self-employment and employment schemes.
Yeah.
So similarly, I think in these last 2 years, which nobody has been speaking about, has been done by him just to improve the status of the underserved community and empowering them. And I strongly believe that you give him another 3 years, because give him a full term to run this country, and that's only fair. So I'm urging everyone to think twice, go back to the history and see, because all three frontrunners have been ministers, have been in government, have been in parliament for more than 20 years. Some of them are 25 years. When they held those ministries, what did they do? Ranil Wickremesinghe, 40 years ago, when he was Minister of Education, 40 years or 35 years ago, he was a young Minister of Education. He saw a vision for this nation. And at that time, Kamanthi, he saw the importance of English. And he brought Singalankan Guru Abhyasa Vidyalaya, all those, teacher training colleges were started by him. The national, the NIE was started by him. The National Education Institution was started by him. He trained and brought in almost 10,000 English teachers. He saw the importance of science and technology. 15,000 teachers were trained and brought in during his time. He saw the importance of sports. Almost 10 to 15,000 sports teachers were trained and brought in. These are you need to go back and see, what did he do as Minister of Education? Just the Guru Abhyasa Vidyalaya, the training teacher training institutions, the NIE. This is what I'm remembering. There is a whole list of things that you can, talk about what he did. Then at one time, he was the Minister of Youth Affairs. The Maharagama Youth Center. He brought in the Jatika Yaun Perambunas. He brought in the Jatika Yaun Kala Utsava. He encouraged artists. He encouraged art and culture. Okay, that came from his lineage, from his mother, his family, from the Vijayawardena family and the Wickremesinghe family. He always had a vision for this nation. He always wanted Sri Lanka to be, a first world country, a developed country. He wanted our youth to be, basically equipped to take on any challenge. So as youth minister, what did he do? Today we enjoy listening to Chandralekha, Rukant. All these people came from the Jatika Yaun Perumana. People don't realize that what he did as the, he worked on the unrest in 71 and he realized that these were what was lacking. So as the youth minister, what he did, just go log on and just see what he did as the youth minister. Then he was at one point the Minister of Technology. The Orugodavat training school was brought in by him. Similarly, technology was brought in by him for education. Tabs were given by him. So what I'm saying is, people need to look and see, now what did Andhra Kumara do when he got the opportunity of becoming a minister? Did he deliver? No. What did Mr. Sajith Premadasa do? So look at, exactly what they had the opportunity, and they had, their chances in doing what they had to do. But did they take that opportunity and, do what they had to do? So what I'm saying is, we need to also think sensibly and think, okay, let's not upset the apple cart right now. And more than anyone else, I think it was the central bank governor, Nandalal Veerasinghe. Mr. Nandalal Veerasinghe gave a speech 2 weeks ago. I can't remember the function. It was at some, if I remember, I'll let you know so you can write it. It's on social media now. In that, he clearly says the difficulty in how we came through these 2 years, and we've just come up the water. We haven't really basically gone through the entire whatever. If anybody would come and try to change this, this country will be worse than what we were in 22. Listen to his speech. He's not a politician.
True.
He's not a politician. He's come with good intentions. He left a thriving job in Australia or wherever he was and came to this country to support us at a time when we were, in trouble. And he's speaking as a banker and as the governor of the central bank and telling people what we need to take heed of. So that's it.
Right. So going back to the mayors, the CMC, basically. So do you think what you are saying is corruption is the biggest challenge when it comes to the administration, or because
I would say yes. And the reason why I brought corruption is because some of these people, I'm not trying to justify their corruption. Some of these people are paid such puny salaries and they cannot survive. So they look at ways in how they could, like, send their child to a better school or pay the child's tuition fees. I don't know whether that's the mindset. So in order to eradicate that, first thing we need to do is empower the public servant.
yeah.
With a reasonable, so that's what Ranil Wickremesinghe did. And people are like, saying how when he says he's increasing the salaries by 25%, somebody else is saying, I'm going to, but Ranil Wickremesinghe, if he says that he's increasing the salaries by 25%, he has mathematically, thought of it very well with the central bank and the necessary resource line agencies and line ministries and persons. And that's when he takes the decision. He doesn't take it. So others can't just come and say, no, I'm going to give this, I'm going to give that. And if you look at those manifestos and look at the promises that they've given and look at the country's income, can you, basically do it? Yes, I believe that corruption in public service could be because of them not having proper
salary, etc.
I have to tell you this story. I don't know whether my father-in-law will maybe be upset with me. We used to go and tell Tata. Tata was a former IGP, you know how the cop stops you and takes money and whatever. And he says, Puta, he used to tell Atula or me, Puta, they are so poorly paid. He had a lot of empathy towards it. So you need to look at that realistically as well.
Yes.
So that's probably why they're doing it. So what I'm saying is that is no excuse. That has to be stopped. But we also have to understand the humane side of those families and those people and empower them properly, giving them the due respect monetarily and in other areas as well. Also, we need to create the mechanism, because technology is at its highest today.
Yeah.
Create the mechanism to use technology every step of the way so that there can't be corruption. And that is what is happening. The municipality, we have done so many, like the online applications for building applications, where you can't actually take money. Then we have also brought in other mechanisms where the single window counter. A lot of the mechanisms that I created was acknowledged by the World Bank, and Sri Lanka went up in the Doing Business Index about 5 notches higher because of some of the methods and measures that we took in the council.
Right. But there are still issues with regards to the parking meters, the construction work, etc. So, and during the rainy season, there was an issue regarding the cutting down of trees, because we were told that there was a machine that was procured, but it was not put into use. So all these lapses are because they are not quite interested in their job?
No, say for an example, parking issue, as soon as I came in, I just banned that, blacklisted that particular parking company. And then we needed to go into a new, of course, then COVID came in. Kamanthi, I'm very unhappy about my 5 years. I was so unlucky. I came in 2018, 2019, the Easter bomb brought a halt. And then 2018, we had this constitutional issue where Prime Minister was removed and Maithripala Sirisena played a trick on, unconstitutional issue. So we were 52 days on the streets trying to, fight for that. Then, I'm not giving excuses, but this is reality. Then this Easter bomb came in. Then, soon after the Easter bomb, the presidential election came. Immediate change, and with that, COVID. So my entire energy was to, how do I make my people survive? Because a highly dense population, a city, and during COVID, to keep them indoors in those little underserved areas was very tough. So I had to basically give them dry ration, free medication, sanitation, practically everything, round the clock. Me and my team, the entire council, just not the UMP, the entire 119 worked tirelessly and unitedly to support. So those 2 years were terrible. Then came the financial crisis. We went into, basically harvesting mode. The urban harvesting program immediately was put forward, and we started, growing vegetation and vegetables in every inch that the municipality owned. We started growing, and we used those for the community kitchens, where we were doing community kitchens and helping the underserved community, school children, pregnant mothers, lactating mothers. I also got aid from the World Food Program and gave every pregnant mother 10,000 rupees. Then from the FAO, we got financial support to also help the lactating mothers, 15,000 rupees into their accounts. Then UNFPA, all these agencies supported me with the urban harvesting program, the soup kitchens, and helping the actually vulnerable communities. UNICEF immediately came in to give a big day meal to the preschool children. So my entire concentration went on that. This tree cutting, yes, this thing is there. Let's hope that if I want to come back again just to finish what I promised, and let's hope that I can address that later. You asked another question about
the construction work. There are certain areas that have stalled constructions.
Yes, that because of lack of money, perhaps. Right. Yeah, I don't know which construction, but the biggest winner for me was the waste to energy project. Yes, so that was. I'm so grateful that Lord gave me the strength and the power and the ability to forge forward with the waste to energy project. And today, because we know what happened in Mithotamulla, how many people died, and we had such a huge issue in the Colombo city with garbage. So first thing I did was, when I went in there, I made sure that the waste to energy project went ahead. It did, and during my tenure, we saw the results. It was open today. Colombo's garbage goes to the waste to energy project. So that was one of the key winners. Also the automation of taxes, helping the poor. I give every underserved community every year the children's school books, their shoes, their uniforms, their school bags. We do a lot of things like that, community work, because of the hardships that the people went through since 2019.
Right. UNP was one of the most powerful political parties, but today it has been limited to one national seat. Why did this happen, and how did this happen?
Kamanthi, this happened in 2020. Some people blame Sajid Premadasa for breaking the party and taking the people away. People, the blame game can be put on everyone. But I strongly believe the UMP has risen again. Right. People who had, I was one of those people actually who was also fighting for a change of leadership, not for any other reason. I always had the faith in Ranil Wickremesinghe. I've said it also on talk shows and whatever. I knew he was the man that could deliver in this country, heart of hearts. I have said that. There were times when I said, I wish I could run for the race and win and then hand it over to him. That's the kind of, the faith and trust and the belief that I have that this man has it in him to deliver. But unfortunately, people didn't see it. And why didn't people see it? Because the opposition always thrashed him to a pulp. They slung mud at him. And the biggest person that slung mud at him and, thrashed him to a pulp was Honorable Mangala Samaraveera. Mangala Samaraveera at every election. And then once Mangala Samaraveera said, why did we, put so many posters against, there was this Mr. Bean poster, all kinds of ridiculous character assassination went around to, defeat him. Why? He says, why did we do it? Why did we spend so much money on this one man? Because we knew if he came, we would never raise our heads again. So we knew. That's when he crossed over and he started talking about the value. Just before he died, he did his last interview. Honorable Mangala Samaraveera, I can't remember whether it was with, I don't know with whom. He did that interview. In that interview, he says, the best president that this country never had was Ranil Wickremesinghe. So the reason to why we even looked at another person, at one point we looked at Karu Jayasuriya, we looked at, because Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe was not marketable. Every time we put him out, people thrash him. That's it. Because he doesn't market himself. He puts the country first before, him or the party first. If you know what, so every time he comes into power, we just keep saying, he's come into power and he can't, because he's not doing politics. He doesn't play politics. Even now, for 2 years he had the presidency. He's going to continue also as the president. In these 2 years, he didn't do politics. He put the country first. He was not looking at his ideology. So, each one can blame each one. But today, I think people have realized it is our leader. It's the UMP leader that saved this nation. No one else. So our party can never be killed or never be burnt out. Our party is going to rise. It rose like a phoenix. And the phoenix was Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe. And now people who are in the Sajabe, they talk to me, a lot of them. I mean, I was the head of the Lakwanita when we won in 2015. So those women still call me and talk to me and, say, "Ai ekatu wenna natte apita Ranil mahattara denna ඕනේ අපේ ජනාධිපතිතුමානේ මෙයාට කොහොම හරි අපි දෙන්න ඕනේ ඡන්දේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා අපිව බේරගත්තේ." They have realized. So it was, I must say, it was also the fault of the UMP that day. It was the UMP's working committee that decided to go on with a broader alliance and formed a committee and gave leadership to Sajid Premadasa, made Ranjit Madhuma Bandara the secretary of that alliance. And then the hiccup was with the emblem, which sign were we going to go. And the elephant was not given because there was no provision to give it according to the UMP constitution. And then they were looking at the swan and that didn't come right. So then they went out and looked for, and then they went forged in as a fresh party. But those were all UMPers. And those UMPers today are seriously going to vote for Ranil Wickremesinghe because they have seen it is our leader. We didn't see the value of this person when he was with us. We left him, but now we see how valuable this leader is. And he is a valuable leader because there are no basically allegations against him saying that he's corrupt. He's very clean in every step of the way. He comes from a family, his lineage, his family, if you take his family, are people who have basically donated their wealth to the public, to the country, whether it's the Kalaniya Raja Mahavihare land, the lake house. They have donated to schools, temples. They're given everything. Even in his last will, he said his entire collection of books were written to the Royal College. This is a man who didn't come to make money. He's a man who came with a vision, and he still has a vision. When he talks about 2048, people are, laughing at him, and some are ridiculing him on social media. He will not be even living. I don't ever hope that I would really like to see him living, to see his vision come true. He's only thinking of, we'll be 100 years from independence. He wants to see at least in this 100 years that this country will be a first world country, that this country's youth will be like, basically so empowered that they will take on any challenge of the world. He wants this country to be a very prosperous Sri Lanka. So he has a vision for 2048 so that we'll be 100 years of independence and we will do it. And I'm blessing him and I'm asking the Almighty to bless Ranil Wickremesinghe to take on the reins and do it for the next 5 years, because Kamanthi, he doesn't have to do this. Today, with his experience, if you see what Dr. Lu, I don't know whether you saw this, it's floating around, it's in our manifesto also, the number of world leaders, this congressman who is in charge of South Asia, where he says, when he was asked about the South Asian economy, he said, he talks about only the best turnaround, the best comeback story is Sri Lanka. How they from, this, he gives an accurate description of where the country was and how did they do it. To their amazement, there are so many leaders talking about and giving him, credit. So he can retire easily and be a world speaker in world stages. I know whether it's an environmental conference in the Middle East, because my brother-in-law is involved. He works with the ruler and the ruler's, he's close to the ruler's office. And they host all these big conventions. And for guest speakers like Tony Blair or Bill Clinton or Barack Obama, just for 20 minutes, they pay like $50 million US dollars or 100 million US. Ranil Wickremesinghe can be a multi-billionaire, including Professor Maitri Wickremesinghe, She is such an eloquent speaker, and she's worked tirelessly for women's affairs behind the scenes. I mean, she'll get very angry that I even mentioned her name because she doesn't want to. She, also the two of them, as a pair, as a couple, can do wonders on the international stage. But he chose to restore this country. And I get very emotional when I think about it.
So you think, so you say that the UNPers in SJB will vote for UNP?
A lot of UMPs are going to vote for the UMP. That's for sure.
Right.
Or at
Okay.
least some of them who can't escape will give the second manapa to Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Right.
No, I'm telling you, that is
That's a trend.
that's a trend. Yeah, but a lot of them, because I have been in this party, and it is my people who are supporting SJB. They talk to me on a daily basis, especially during this election time. Some of them are trying to get me onto that side, and some of them are saying, no, we know how much the leaders. At the grassroots level, people have like a lot of respect for Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe.
But now, RW invited certain politicians from the SLPP camp. I would say, I mean, I know you. I hope you know whom I'm talking about. Like people who have been who have allegations of corruption, like Rohita Begunawardena, for example. Do you think that tarnished his image and his career?
You can't say Ranil Wickremesinghe invited them. Ranil Wickremesinghe came out as the common candidate, and he said anyone can join me. Now, this race is not for a team. No, this race is not a race where you are picking a team. This race is where you are picking the president, and that president should be able to work with any team that gets elected in parliament. So at the next election, if you think that these people are corrupt and those allegations, it is you who appointed them. You have the power. You have, when you get your franchise to your hand, you use it in the right direction. You have the power to appoint anyone. So you can bring maybe any team as the next team and the prime minister. But I strongly believe Ranil Wickremesinghe has to be the president. That's why he came. He left the UMP, he left everyone, and he came and he stood there and said, anyone can join me. Anybody can join me and support me. Everybody. And if you talk about corrupt people on this side, there are corrupt people that have joined that side as well. And I mean, even the UMP was not a pure of pure whatever. Inside the UMP also, there were so many people who had allegations. They're also in that camp, SJB. So, in Sinhala කියන්නේ අඩු වැඩියෙන් දෙපැත්තෙම ඉන්නවා නැත්තේ නැහැ. There are people that are corrupt, that has allegations, that have gone, behind bars and whatever. They're all in the front line of that group as well. When they are with SJB, they are nice and clean and pure. If they're on Ranil's side, this is what happened to us every election. I don't know why people fear Ranil Wickremesinghe so much, that they will find something to tarnish his image so that he doesn't get elected. And who is the loser? It's not him. Like I said, he and Professor Mayoress Wickremesinghe can do wonders internationally and put this little country up in the world map. No, the loser will be me, my children, and my grandchildren. That is something that you have to think about.
Colombo was a UNP stronghold. Yes. Do you think it will remain a UNP?
It is still remaining the UNP stronghold. We are there fighting tooth and nail. It will.
Right.
You can't touch Colombo.
Right. And are you confident?
Especially this time.
Right. And are you confident that in case if UNP wins, that there will be no crisis like what we faced 2 years ago?
If Ranil Wickremesinghe wins, there is no crisis. This will be stabilized and we will have more, because a lot of people want to support Ranil Wickremesinghe internationally also. Yeah. There's no printing of money anymore, right? He's going to put the country's economy and the financial status right. People they have to read what he has done. The policies, almost 70 policies.
So I think that's about it from my end. And you do have anything for the voters? Any message?
I'm asking the voters. I'm a mother of 3 children and 2 grandchildren. My children love this country and they want to live here. In order for us to live here, we need to act sensibly. Every election, we have voted foolishly most of the time, and we get caught to what in Sinhala we say the ralla and the trend, and we listen to all kinds of rhetoric that some people are saying without looking at the actual realistic picture of the situation. So look at reality. Nothing is perfect. Nobody is perfect. There might be shortcomings which you are not very happy about, but for the greater good of the country, I'm asking you, because we have seen in the last 2 years, Ranil Wickremesinghe has delivered beyond our expectations. And today we could even breathe. We could even, do our businesses, do our startups. We are doing okay. I don't see really very okay, but okay. Inflation in 2022 was 70%. It has come down to 1.7%. That is how much he has worked so hard in the last 2 years. So I'm asking you to think sensibly and vote Ranil Wickremesinghe.